this on thingy, but I always remember that you prefer to do this here.
Yeah, because I can with this. I just turned on the record part now, and so
Okay.
since I'm doing it this way, I'm not even worrying about, fading. Like I can change my picture out and do all this other stuff. If we were live, I don't even have to worry about that now. I'm going to do edits during the show and I'm going to do overlays and different stuff like that.
Overlays. Oh, fancy overlays. What kind of overlays?
It'll be your show, like, and it'll be the little, they call them chirons or the thing at the bottom where we can stream stuff at the bottom. We can put, click here or not click here, but go here and get more information. We're doing all the stuff you see on like normal news stations. We'll
Yeah.
be doing that.
Wow! Oh yes, for your information, 24 degrees, which is what it is here at the moment. Is I was right. It was in the 70s, 75.2 Fahrenheit, which is
I
warm.
would love it to be 75 degrees.
So that's what I'm saying. It's warm,
And this is
and
the hottest part of
no,
the
it's
day.
warm. I'm sorry. Say again.
For you, this is the hottest part of the day, right?
Well, no, sometimes in the last few weeks, the sun has been out like from early and it has stayed like that all day. If you see the beaches where we remember, we're supposed to still be in pandemic mode, right? Everyone's just had enough of that rubbish now. They're like, listen, the minute he started saying people can go out, they're like, we heading to the beach.
And outside supposedly is not as bad as being inside
That's what they say.
as far as transferring it. Da, 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 da.
Yes, and they're saying to us that more and more they're saying if you go out, like if you go shopping or into a shop or somewhere or on the on public transport, they want you to wear a face covering. They don't like to call it a mask, but most of us are just calling it a face mask.
Okay, now we're going to start the show full screen on you.
Okay.
You froze. I think you're freezing.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, you froze
Am
for
I freezing?
yeah, so we're
I
fine.
can.
You're fine now, but you froze up for a
Okay.
second. If you see
Okay.
me freeze,
Oh,
don't,
okay.
don't worry about it.
Uh-huh.
Keep moving through it.
Okay.
If you lock up completely
Okay.
to where
Yeah.
it's totally gone, then I may,
Uh-huh.
if you can see me, if you see me do this, that means you're
Uh-huh.
locked up. And we're going to
Okay.
stop right there and we're going to restart.
Okay. So
We're going
what
to
you're
start
gonna
on
want me to
the
do?
subject
Just stop
again.
it.
I'll just edit it. Okay.
Right. So what does that actually mean for me? What do I do?
What if I do this?
Yeah. Yeah. If you do that.
If you do that, just I'm gonna edit it so you can just stop immediately.
Oh, okay. That
All
means
right?
it's messed up.
That means the feed or the internet's jacked up.
Okay.
And so, but as long as because I'm not giving you any hand signals while I'm on camera.
So
Okay,
when are you gonna do
because,
that?
because it's going to be, I don't want to have it in the edit. And because when we start the show, we're going to start the show here with a big shot of you.
Okay. Are
Everything.
these okay?
No, they're looking great. That is beautifulness. You're fine. Now, see, you're going to adjust them and they're going to fall on your head.
Oh, that's
But they're fine. They look this
okay.
because trust you. You've been looking at what's been going on with people broadcasting from their house and all that stuff. It's
Did
been
you see what I sent you from Teddy Riley?
he was. It's like he's my age now, maybe. Yeah, he's a
It
little bit
was
younger than me.
hilarious. Oh, he
Not
was
only
hilarious.
internet, get your daughters and
Yeah, they
children.
told him. Apparently they just kept saying, "Daddy, all you need is your computer and your phone," and they were laughing at him. I was thinking, "You lot are so wicked. You should have told him," but he probably didn't listen anyway.
You let
They
the
did tell
young
him.
people. Let the young people help you.
He didn't want their help.
And they made him boy, he got just.
That was horrible.
They talked
I,
bad about him.
I couldn't stop laughing. When I saw it, that's why I said to you, I ain't going out like this. Oh hell no! I was like, I couldn't listen. It was like Car Crash TV. I just couldn't stop watching it. I was
It
dying
was,
laughing.
and then Babyface was kind of sitting there with that look like, really, Teddy.
Yeah, he's like, and he was calling him. The amount of times I said Teddy, and he just kept ignoring him. And I know he could hear him, and he was like, Teddy, Teddy, just stop it, Teddy, just stop. Let's stop. Let's just stop. Start again. and he didn't want no part of it. He wanted it to be like a big, concert type thing. I couldn't stop
It was
laughing.
stupid to do it that way anyway, and it's like
Hilarious.
the lady showed him how to do it. So when Jill
Yeah.
Scott and Erica came on, now they were on there for 3 good hours. Now, don't
Were
give
they
me.
really that long? See, I heard about it, but I didn't see how long it
I
was.
have
I didn't get a
the
chance to
tape.
watch it.
I'll send you a link. You can pull the tape, but I
Oh,
recorded it, and so
oh, cool.
I will. I'll send it to you. But it was good. They were kind of in their own zone. Erica's spacey anyway, and Jill Scott was sitting there drinking wine. So it was 3 hours.
Drinking wine.
Yeah, yeah. Look, okay, but
Whoa.
we're going to keep this on schedule for you. And how much time do you have?
Well, I scheduled it for an hour because that's what you said you wanted, and I'm hoping that this will be okay. And I've only sent you 2 links, but I actually put a few more. But I don't think we're gonna need them. But if we do, I'll just send them to you in Facebook because they're not that important.
Right.
I just thought, okay, you know what? Let me just send you the ones which I knew, the video ones,
And that's
which
fine.
I knew that we could
And
have
then
a look
when you
at.
say, okay, I'm going to play a video, right?
Yes, please. There's 2 videos
And
linked.
when I
Link.
do it, I'm not going to play them today because you've already seen them, right?
Oh, I've already seen them. Yeah, but I'm assuming you want them to go out on the.
I am, but
Yeah.
I'm going to edit them into the show.
Okay.
And how
Um.
long are they?
I think the Killer Mike one is about 8 minutes, and
Oh,
the other one,
I saw him.
yeah, yeah, and the other lady one, I can't remember. Her one is a good few minutes. I'm not sure if it's 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. It might be less. But I actually didn't check that one. I forgot. But the Killer Mike one I know is about 8 minutes.
Okay, let me pull the. Hold
Because
on.
I want you to tell me what you think.
Well, Killer Mike, I can tell you that easy because I saw that. But let me go and pull up the one because I've got your.
Because link 2 is the lawmaker one, and she, that was hilarious. I saw that. I thought, I got to put that in because it really speaks to what is going on, and the fact that she did that. I think she did it last year or something, and I just thought that's hilarious.
Hold
But
on.
not hilarious in a bad way. But she won't let the man. He kept trying to tell her she has to stop talking, and she said, "No, I'm not. What you gonna do? Shoot me?"
Well, yeah, yeah.
That's what she said to him, and he was just looking at her like you can see he's probably thinking, if I had a gun, I might just do that.
Okay,
Might
I'm gonna
try.
do that right over here.
So the first one will be the Killer Mike one, and then the second one will be her because I think that speaks to um
Oh shit, that's Facebook too. I gotta log in. Hold on.
yeah, that I found that one on Facebook and I thought, oh, you know,
Two-factor
I
authentication.
actually saw it before and I can't remember where I put it. So when I found it again, I thought, oh no, you're gonna have to take this now because that is really perfect for what you need it for.
All right.
Okay, do I need to put a cardigan on because I have flashbacks of popping out.
When did you pop out?
No,
On
I'm saying I'm having the feeling that I might feel that way.
I'm like, have you done that on the show and I missed it? What are we talking about here?
No, that's not important. That's why I tend to usually put a cardigan on, thinking, let me just.
Are
But I'm so hot.
But I'm saying, if unless as you call it, unless you're gonna pop out, I really don't think it's a problem. And so, did I miss something? Where did I
No,
go?
no, no, no. That's what I'm saying. But I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, you know what? I knew there was something I forgot to put on, and then I thought, is it safe? Should I mean, I feel safe, but
Well, but that's what I'm saying. For you, if you feel uncomfortable, as you call it, and you think you're gonna pop out, then yeah. But I don't think it's got to do with it
but
because
I'm looking now, and I'm
you're
thinking,
all animated and there's a
oh.
problem. But if you're sitting around the house, I don't think that happens just on normal life, right?
No. But remember, I'm seeing myself here, and I'm thinking, you know what?
Well, you decide, well, I get excuse.
Like, cause I realize that what I can see is not always or only what can be seen, if that makes sense. Because I'm seeing it here, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, you look alright, and then I'm thinking, actually, no, he might have, you know,
Well,
it
then
might go down.
let me put it this way: if it was something out of whack, I would be telling you, "Hey, we need
Oh,
to fix this." You see
yeah.
what I see, though. You're not
All
seeing
right, cool.
anything different than me. Like, see, for me, I can see myself pointing to this button.
Okay.
I can see that on my screen, and so I'll know if I was all popped out with my chest open, I would see it on the screen. So you're looking at what everybody can see. And so
Okay.
you have to be
Okay.
comfortable with what everybody sees. And when I bring you in full screen,
Yeah.
really it's no different. It's a wider shot.
Yeah, it's a wider shot, and I'm like,
Well,
okay.
but are you gonna be sitting like this?
Like,
Oh,
well,
oh,
I don't
sorry,
see
I'm
you.
off screen. Sorry. Sitting back like this?
Well, this is the thing. I might do that inadvertently, and then I was like, oh, you
But
know what, maybe.
that's what I'm saying. It's not. I think
See,
you're.
I don't
I
want
think you're worrying more about it than it is. Okay.
to
If
feel.
well, why don't you just can't your camera tilt up a little bit like that? Can you tilt it up?
Maybe I can. Hold on. How about that?
Does that
Is
make
that
you?
better?
That's the same.
Oh, okay. I'm just
I'm not
saying.
worried about you. I'm getting this video
A
ready
new
to play.
shit.
Alright.
Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah, I can hear that.
Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do? Let me get Killer Mike ready also, and I'm just going to have the videos ready. And then when
Okay.
you say play the video, I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
run the whole video,
Okay.
and I may minimize us or something, but
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yes, please. Yeah.
I'll probably mute us, but when we do that part of it and we edit it and do all that, I'll do most of it in edit though. Hold on, let me get
Okay.
Killer Mike on YouTube ready because I want to just kind of boom boom, and then I'm going to be watching the clock. And okay, here we go.
And where are you? Are you sending me any messages or
I'd
no? Or
like to ask you to join my campaign.
Oh, Joe, I'm not
As I
joining your
said,
campaign today. Here we go.
I didn't want to come,
Can you hear that?
and I don't want to
yeah,
be.
But I saw this too.
yeah. I obviously, yeah. The minute I saw that, I was like, oh my god, we have to play that on the show just for, just for reference and just to remind people of what he said because I thought it was quite powerful.
Yeah, and normally, let me share the screen, share screen, share this screen, share screen. Normally, this is how I run it.
Yeah, that's what you
Not
told
do
me.
that,
I didn't want to come,
and I would leave us
and I
on
don't want to
camera.
be here.
Mm.
And do you want to do that today?
I'm the
Yeah, I
son
don't mind. That's fine.
of
Whichever's fine. I don't mind. It's because it's
Yeah, because I can
my
do it that
cousin
way, and then in edit, if I
in
want
Atlanta
to, I
City,
can just
big boss.
take over the whole screen
And
with
my
him,
cousin
and
East
then
Point.
bring us back. I can
And
do it different ways.
I got a lot
okay.
of respect.
So that's what I will do. But Killer Mike is first, and then the other person, right?
Yes, please. Yeah, those are the only two videos that I thought. I thought, oh, we don't want to play loads and loads of videos, but them two I thought were really important.
Okay. And so when you say, okay, I play the video, I'm basically going to start it
I didn't want to come, and I don't want
and
to
do
be
it like
here.
that. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
the son of an Atlanta City police.
All
Wow,
righty.
it's crazy.
Well, we live in a world right now that's completely insane. And Dum Dum, as I call him, our president, he had to do a photo op, and I'm getting ready. I'm
Yeah.
actually going to post something today that's basically is saying this is the second time he's touched the Bible since he was um, elected president. The
Okay.
first time
Yeah, yeah.
swearing in.
That's it. Yeah, I know. I know. I'm thinking the same. That's the first time, and this is the second time, and that'll probably be the last time,
This isn't really.
unless he gets elected again.
And anytime you got to turn the spine of the book around so that I know it's a Bible, that's kind of tacky. But
Yeah.
hey,
It was a photo op.
he's worse than your guy.
It was a clear.
You know,
Oh, believe. Yeah, we know Boris Johnson.
yeah,
God,
he's.
he's in
I'm
hot
gonna
water anyway.
start the show like it normally would start, but I'm going to have the graphics that'll come in. But you're coming up.
Okay.
That's not you. You're going to be full screen first. Then
Okay.
you say whatever. When you say, "Hey, K Rose, how are you doing?" I bring myself in, and then we start doing how we do what we do when we doing it. Let me see.
Okay. Okay.
Scoot my camera.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yep, and I'm never going full screen by myself like this. It's you.
Okay.
I'm not the show. You're the show.
Uh, I'm not the show.
This is the Ask Bonnie show. I'm the producer. Okay. And so producers don't get full screen, But all right, here we go. What time is it? It's
Go.
15:06. Oh, hold on a second. I don't want to post it.
Are you sending me any messages today? And because I need to know where to look.
There we go. Can you? Yeah, I see the test. I'm on private
Okay,
chat now.
okay, cool. So you're gonna send it to me on private chat. Okay, no problem. Let me.
And you saw mine?
Yes, I did.
All right. And then what I'll do, because I'm going to keep track of the clock, you want to
Mhm.
take a break at 30 or do you want to do a 30-minute show? What do you think?
Um, let's take a break at 30 and see, because this is a lot. This is a lot, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Well, but I think if you've got the time, we can do a full hour.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
All right, so that's fine. I've got a clock that I can see where it tells me how long I'm recording.
Uh-huh.
And so we're getting ready to go. You ready?
Yep, ready.
All righty. And Mark.
Good afternoon and welcome. This is the Ask Avani Show. I want to say a big welcome to everybody wherever you may be, UK,
Before you
USA,
start,
Europe.
your mic is I'm feeling I can hear your mic bumping.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is it the fan?
Okay, just talk keep put the fan back. Put it where you want it to be. And let me
Is
see
it is it too loud? Because I've got the fan and
I
it's
I think your mic boom is bumping.
okay. That
Just
better?
yeah, try that. Do the opening again so I can listen.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is the Ask Avani Show. I want to say a big welcome to everybody wherever you
Yeah,
may
that's
be.
better. That's better. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
And Mark.
Good afternoon. This is the Ask Avani Show. I want to say a big welcome to everybody wherever you may be, UK, USA, Europe, and worldwide. You're in the place to be with me, UK Soul Queen Diva. Welcome, everybody. Wow, it has been a minute. It is your girl. I am back. And today's show topic is George Floyd was murdered. Why is it that racism hasn't ended? And why do law enforcement and government authorities, especially, hate Black people so much? Good afternoon and welcome to K Rose. Hey.
Good afternoon, Avani. Good afternoon, world. We have not been on doing a show in a while. Of
Mm,
course, we've stayed in contact, but
yeah,
it is good to be on with you today.
absolutely. I mean, there's been so much happening. I mean, as everybody knows, COVID-19, coronavirus has just taken over the world and it has thrown a few things out. I say that and people will know what I mean because I think a lot of people have had a lot of, stress because we've all been on lockdown wherever we are around the world. We've had to stay inside and, try not to spread it. And some countries, unfortunately, have really had a really bad time of it in terms of the people that have passed away, unfortunately. So, but the thing is, there's been a lot happening, not just with that. And I say not just
Right.
because we in the Black community, yet again, it's like there's a war being waged against us, Kairos. And this is not a war that we want to fight. And this is not a war that we should have to fight because it's other people's issue, as in racism. And we're the ones who are having to tell people, what is your problem with us? Why do you hate us so much? Why can't as somebody keeps saying, I keep seeing these, memes and everything, why can't we all just get along? Well, it's not us that doesn't want to get along, is it? It's other people that don't want to get along with us, that see us as a threat, that see us as a problem. Literally just the color of our skin is the biggest threat, and it's just making other people so uncomfortable. Why? Why are they so uncomfortable with us, Kairos? What is that about?
Well, I think again, this is your opinion, my opinion. It's I don't know if, but there to me, it's something that is something you're taught.
Mm,
You're taught to speak a language. If I was brought up in Vietnam, I would have been able to speak Vietnamese. If I had been
no.
brought up in whatever country on this earth, if I had been brought up in Japan, I would have learned to speak Japanese. And so, if you're brought up in the environment of intolerance for people of my skin tone and people that are Latino, if people that are Asian, you know,
Yep.
if you're brought up in a household and you aren't taught to respect people from other nationalities, which is really what it is. Your
Yeah.
different nationalities. If you're brought up in a household and you're not taught to do that, then you are taught to be the way that you are, and you're taught to cause these problems, because that's where truly, to me, the problems are. The
Yeah,
problems are
and I would say that
come on.
as I was putting the show together, and I wasn't going to speak out on this, Keros. You know why? Because I realized, well, I thought, you know what? There's so many other people who are out there who have something to say. Who It's not that I didn't have anything to say. Obviously, I have a lot to say. This also affects me as a black woman. For those who have not seen me before, yes, I am a black woman, and it's just I don't understand. It feels like a lot of us are saying something and it's like we're not being heard, and it's like we almost are being made to feel like we shouldn't have anything to say. You know, when they say, oh, well, slavery was, hundreds of years ago, you just need to let that go now. You just need to forget about that. And why can't you just move on from that? Well, I'm sorry, we'll never be able to move on from that. But the thing that makes it seem like it was, not that long ago, if you want to put it that way, is the fact that even to this day, we are still being, discriminated against. We're still having people literally wanting to kill us and killing us, because of the color of our skin. So basically we're being made to feel like we're not human. We don't have any rights. We shouldn't feel anything, and we should just let people keep. They say, how many times are you gonna, let somebody keep slapping you before you do something? So we're not supposed to say anything. So people are just supposed to be allowed to just keep walking all over us, keep slapping us, keep hitting us, keep beating us, to keep doing whatever they want to do to us, and we're not supposed to say anything. We're just supposed to take it. As far as I know, and as far as I can see, and most people with any sense can see, is that racism, that's not inherent. That's something, as you said, children are not born that way. This is what I realized, and I wanted to say, amongst other things. Most babies, they just want to play. When kids come together, they don't see their different skin tone and all this. They're curious about each other. They're just curious about the world. They just see another child that they want to play with. And when people from, especially when they're from young, are taught and constantly told negative, discriminatory, just and derogatory things about someone else of a different ethnicity, that's when they start to develop that hatred, and will want to try and harm that person, because that's what they're being told, that's what they're being fed, that's what others are making them see, like, oh yeah, well, you shouldn't want to talk to that person because you should class yourself as better than them, because just because they're a different skin tone to you, or they may speak a different language, or both, you're not supposed to see them as a human being. And that type of behavior manifests in varying degrees and in different ways. But as far as I know, and many people who have experienced racism know, racist people will always usually show themselves quite early on by their words and their deeds. And I, for me, when I was thinking of how I would speak out, because like I said, Carol, I wasn't actually going to say anything on this. Um, I thought maybe I should just keep my thoughts on this particular thing to myself, because obviously I have spoken out in the past about other things, and other situations, and I thought maybe because of everything else that's going on, and we know as black people how we feel about things. Many of us have experienced racism directly. Sometimes it's indirectly, but most of the time it's directly. I can speak from experience to say I've experienced it directly a few times in my life to date. And you just think, keep talking about it, keep saying yes, it's wrong, keep trying to make people see, but especially because tensions are heightened yet again, obviously so, you think, should I add my voice to that yet again in the way that other people are? I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that if you choose to do so. But I thought, you know what? No, I'm not going to keep silent. I think I should talk about it. I think we should talk about it. I think that, and I realized, you know what? You have a platform. And it's one of those platforms which, luckily for me, I am not censored. I am not under the thumb. I am not someone who has been told, okay, well, we're gonna always watch what you say. Be careful what you say, because even though you may see a black person, i.e., me, as a host, as a presenter, I sometimes if you work in on another station, that's got affiliates and so on, another platform that is owned by, I'm just going to say it, whether it will be a white owned company or a Jewish owned company, however you want to put it, you will probably, whether it, as I say, openly or discreetly be told, especially for a topic like this, be careful what you say. We are watching you. The powers that be will be watching you. Maybe you should not have any particular bias. Maybe you just need to report it as is and you can't really express an opinion. And luckily, in this regard for me, I have that autonomy. I can speak about whatever I want to speak about. I can say exactly how I feel about it, and no one is not going to come and tell me, you can't say that. You're not allowed to say that.
Well,
Because if you say that, you'll be in
that's
trouble. You see
the
what I mean?
thing about what we've been doing for these many years now. Um, we are able to, which we do. We talk about things intelligently, and we talk about things factually, and we have opinions, yes,
Of
but we're
course.
not spreading or spewing, as I call it, forth ignorance and anger and emotion. We're talking about a subject that we're well acquainted with
Absolutely.
because we happen to have been born as people of color.
Hmm.
And I mean, you said something a few minutes ago that this feeling and this lack of information, it's the way that people are, it's developed. And when you
Hmm.
develop something, you basically, you build it and you nourish it and you give it thoughts and you give it information. And so people don't come out of the womb being a white hate group member.
No,
They
no,
come out being born to someone that has those qualities and has those
no.
thoughts, and then that person starts to try to influence that child, because I
Absolutely.
do believe that some people aren't completely overtaken by their mother and father and their surroundings. Some people
Right.
start thinking on their own and they start doing things on their own, but the
Which is
thing
as it should be.
different for you and I. There's people that I know of that they'll talk about the things that are happening, and I don't condone any of the violence and the looting and all that. And so let's take that out of the picture, because that's what people, they let that blind them. They don't see anything but that, and they don't
Right.
realize that if we don't have what started this, which is killing innocent black men and women like myself, none of that other none of the looting happens. The looting isn't happening because they just want to be socialist or whatever you want and change the world
No.
from the rich. The looting is happening because people are angry. And
Mhm.
like I said, I don't condone it. I don't want anybody's business to be destroyed. But
No.
you don't have that if when Colin Kaepernick said, I want to bring attention to this, if you pay attention to what he was talking about, as opposed to say he was disrespecting da 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 da, if you pay attention to that back then, we
Mhm.
don't develop where we are today. We
No,
just
but I mean, the point I was going to make as well in terms of the having a platform and speaking out. Obviously, everyone is entitled to speak out however they choose to do so, and we may not agree with some of the things that some people have said, and I'll probably touch on this later again. But at the same time, people are free to and should be free to have that freedom of speech. And one thing I wanted to make sure that those that are just joining us and that don't really know about the show is that I like to give my listeners and my readers of my pod posts, as I like to call them, the freedom to say whatever it is that they want to say. I don't want someone to feel like, oh well, I can't really comment on that, or I was going to say something, but I might only say a little portion of what I really wanted to say. Be free. I want you to feel free to say whatever it is you want to say pertaining to whatever matter I may have decided to talk about, because that's the thing I find with us. We don't have these many platforms, especially black, not just black facing, but also black owned, where we're not under the thumb, we're not under the cosh from anyone else saying that we are going to censor you. You're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to do that, you can't talk about this, you can't talk to a particular person. I talk to whoever I want. No one is ever going to tell me who I can have as a guest on my show. I want to be able to say and speak, give people that platform to talk if they need to talk. So I realized, it's as having this platform, I needed to be able to say that. I just wanted to be able to say, yeah, we as black people, because we don't see many of us that have a show that we can say let's be real. Let's talk about the real issues, as you just mentioned. Why do we think that people are looting, for example? It's not just because, oh, they're feeling they're poor, or they feel like, oh, well, this is just an opportunity. Let me just go out and steal. I just want to take advantage of the situation. No, that's not the reason. Like you said, they're angry, they're disenfranchised, they're trying to there are some people who will take advantage of it. Yeah, let me be real, there are, but that's not the majority of people. And sometimes, as I notice as well, when you see people looting, some of those people that have come that are looting, they've come from another city or another town, and they're taking advantage of something in another place to go and loot and steal and do that type of thing as well. So it's not just, oh, the people of a particular place, oh, they've just decided, oh, we're just going to take advantage and we're just going to start stealing and destroying things. And yes, I understand anger is spilling out, because when you feel like you're not being listened to, it's frustration, isn't it? It's like, oh God, they are just not listening, and this keeps happening. This has been happening for hundreds of years, and it's happening again. And I wanted to mention as well, Kairos, as we all know, the civil rights movement, which was like from about 1954 to 1968, which was 66 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. That was a pivotal moment in history in the 20th century of fighting against racism and pushing for equality. And it saddens me to know that even now, see, we are in now officially in the 21st century, and yet we as Black people are still seeing and experiencing racism and discrimination every day. So it's like, when is enough enough? Do people not realize that we have suffered far too much for far too long? Are we just going to keep turning the other cheek and just not saying anything? Uh,
Well,
what do they expect us to do?
if it doesn't, and I'm truthful about this, if it doesn't affect you, who is whoever you are,
Mm,
then it's not in your space. And so you don't think about it. You don't feel you need to think about it. And you don't feel that you need to do anything to change it. And
mm,
then when it happens, and I say this in all seriousness, if a person is on social media and they're posting about the violence and they're talking and they're posting about, why are these people doing this? And like I said, I don't agree with it. If you're
mm,
not, first of all, posting about the fact, especially people that know me, and I'm saying this on camera so that people understand, as you mentioned, I didn't have to go on the air. You didn't have to go on the air and talk about
no,
this. We're doing this
no,
because it's relevant. We're doing it because it's important. But I'm
mm,
saying it to the people that may see this who know who I am, whatever ethnicity that you are. If you're
right,
posting about the violence and you're posting about the things that are going on, and you don't realize that you could see my picture on TV or a video about me being killed by a police officer. If you're not letting that sink in, then don't post anything about the rioting. Go to the
right,
beginning, go to the source. What if it was me that you saw on camera and you
mm.
look up and you're like, K Rose, he wouldn't have.
I know that person.
You got to let that sink in. If you can do anything as a person who's looking at this video, hey, you can talk to me. I don't need to talk to you in comments. I'm not doing the comment thing. DM me, call me. A lot, you guys know me. But let's talk about this. I have black sons.
Yeah.
I'm a black man.
And
The
then the thing is as well, I saw something online and I thought, you know what? And I'm going to mention it. It was someone who was talking about basically the fact that, which, and it shouldn't matter who a person chooses to love, but
right.
I thought it was something that I'm just going to mention it briefly in terms of, they were saying that, oh, so where are all the, for example, white ladies who have a black husband or black partner, and obviously then if they have children with that person, their children, especially their sons, will be classed as black men. Where are all those women, for example, when this is happening? Why do they not speak out and say this is wrong? And I thought, my God, you see how people are really delving deep into this, because it's like,
That's good.
obviously, but somebody, listen, you can't say to somebody, you must stick up for something, even if you know, like, okay, even if you know that they should realize what's happening is wrong. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
if
yeah.
they don't choose to speak out for whatever the reason, maybe they just feel, well, oh, maybe because I'm not a black person, I don't have that, that remit to say anything. But hold on, your family member now, because that's your husband or your boyfriend and your children. That's if you choose to have what will be classed in society as black children, that becomes your problem, because then that's your child that could go out and become embroiled in a situation with law enforcement, for example. If a police person decides to stop your child driving down the road or whatever, and want to shoot them just because of the way they look, they'll still look black to that police officer, because that person is a racist. And before they even ask the person any questions, they'll just see them and just assume, oh, he's got to be doing something dodgy. So let me just get my gun out and shoot him, or say I don't like how he speaks to me, I don't like his tone of voice, whatever. I think he's got an attitude. Oh, that black person, I'm gonna shoot him. That becomes your problem, because that's your family as well. And then if I mean, I understand if someone feels like, okay, I don't want to speak out because I don't want to bring attention to myself. I get that part to a degree, but at the same time, it's almost like, well, why would you not speak out when you know something is wrong? You know this is wrong, what's happening. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, green, an alien. If you see that it's wrong, why would you, especially when you've got black people in your family, why would you not say anything?
Yeah,
And these people are saying, oh, but they only want to go out of them when it's good, when the times are good, or when they know he's got loads of money or something like that. But when times of trouble, as someone else said, oh, well, everybody wants to be black until it's time to be
but
black.
see, I'll take that a step further to the fact that I agree 100% with what you said. But as a family where you have one person that's black, one person that's another race, white, whatever you want to call it, that's
Yeah.
a given. That person from either side of the spectrum should want to see justice done for that person that is black within that unit, within that family, within that relationship. But I'll take it a step further to say that if you, not even if, those people that are not in a mixed relationship, as black people, as black parents, my wife and myself and other parents that we know, people always talk about you have to have the talk with your sons and your daughters. My
Mhm.
thought process is those white parents,
Mhm.
you should be having the talk with your son and with your daughter, and you should be telling them that the world needs to be better. And you need to be
Mhm.
talking to them and telling them that you should have relationships with people based on that person as opposed to their skin color. So
Yeah, who they are.
we already have to take it upon ourselves to have discussions with our children so that we can hopefully keep them safe. But
Yeah.
I put that onus on other people, on white people. You should be having that conversation with your children
But
to make this problem go away.
but you know what someone else would say to you about that, Kara? They'd say, well, my kids aren't going to have this problem.
No, no, no.
The white.
It's
No, no,
a
no, no,
problem
no, no,
exists.
no. I know what you're saying, but do you see what I mean? They're going to say, my kids aren't going to have this problem. Why do I need to talk to them about this?
But they're
This is
looking at
not
the
something that they're
problem.
going to have to worry about.
They're looking at the problem wrong. The problem
I
is
know.
that as a black male, a black woman, as black people, we're looked at differently. We can't turn off our blackness at night. And
Mm,
or when we see a policeman somehow snap our fingers, and then the policeman sees us as a person that looks like them. Sometimes there are black officers that are horrible also, but
right.
sees me, I'm gonna snap my finger and they're gonna see me as a white guy and they're gonna be less threatened. We don't exist in that mystical magical universe. And so if white people start teaching their children to be more accepting of life and humanity, that has to trickle through. And that's why I'm not condoning violence, but these younger people that I see that are of all races, that's how this is going to change. Because when they grow up, they're going to be more of them. And as I tell you all the time about the book The Ship that I'm writing, all these old people are going to be shot off into space, but you're not coming back. We're not taking you to the space station and you're getting out of here. And these younger people, because now they're actually, these people have friends and they're seeing their friends being, dehumanized. And so
Yeah.
white people have
I,
conversations with your children about how you should react to all people as being just human beings. Y'all need to start having the conversation. Quit.
But this is I'm being devil's advocate when I say that I agree with what you're saying. But remember, for some, sometimes when something isn't seen, that means it's not heard. When something is not
Yeah,
being having to be dealt with, they just don't look at it as a problem for them
yeah.
because as far as they're concerned, oh well, my child will never have to go through this. So they might be thinking, well, why should I have any type of conversation like that with my child? Because that's not something that they will have to worry about. If they choose, they may not be racist, but they may not also realize that if my child chooses to have a friend of a different ethnicity, whether it be black, Hispanic, whatever, Asian, and they're out and about, I know that the white child, my child, the white child, that's what their parent is going to say. Oh, my child will just be okay. They'll just be able to run away. They'll just be able to go home. And they're not realizing that if you are friends with someone else and you know that your friend is suffering an injustice, as a friend, would you not want to help your friend? They're not teaching that their child to think, oh, hold on, I may be okay because of, for example, as you want a classic white privilege, but my friend may not necessarily get that same courtesy to not when I say the white privilege part, I'm not saying that's a courtesy. What I'm saying is that my friend
What
is
courtesy?
going to probably
White
suffer.
privilege is a courtesy in a lot
No,
of.
no, no. It's a courtesy for them, but
Yeah,
we
that's
don't
what I
ever
mean.
get that. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't
Oh,
ever get
I mean,
that type of respect to say
it's
what, as
courtesy
in
that
your life should be meaning.
they enjoy that as a courtesy. If you both
Yeah,
walk
they do.
to the store at the same time, and I've had this happen, so please, if you know me, talk to me in person because I'm talking from experience. If you walk in that store, that security camera will follow me and let the other person, in many instances, rob the store blind. And I'm not talking about.
And then you get blamed for it.
I'm not. I
Then
don't
you
even
will be
care
blamed for
if
it.
you're not. But you guys are going to be following me because I'm the black kid. Hey, Bob, where is he at? He's over in this department. Okay, over it. And this other person, the little old lady that you don't think is doing anything,
She's rubbing you blind.
you blind. And so let's look at everybody for who they should be as a human being. But y'all falling for the okey doke too. Period.
But this is the thing, and I you said that, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to play that little bit of devil's advocate because out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. If it's something that you've never dealt with, or something that
That's
if you
correct.
don't have any black people in your family, it's just not something that most people would think about. And then if they do ever come across it, they're just going to be thinking, well, you know what, I can just let me just roll back and just exit stage left because I'm going to be cool. And they may be the type of person who'll be like, you know what, it's a fair weather friend because when it was cool to be around you and there was no trouble, you're my friend and I got black friends and it's this and it's that. But the minute, as you guys say, the popo turn up and it's all some craziness, oh well, oh okay, yeah, that's my cue to hit the road because I don't want none of that smoke. And as we would say, but they would just be like, I don't want that trouble, and I'm not going to stick up for you because I don't need to put myself into that. That's what that person may be thinking, kind
Huh.
of thing. And obviously, I'm seeing obviously a lot of white people, Asian people, whoever on these protests, which is fine because obviously if you support because you know that what happened was wrong, justice needs to be done, you've got to support for the right reasons, as in we want justice to be served. Because I'm sorry, with George Floyd, I saw that and my blood was boiling. I thought, you know something, I hope people are, because I realized that there was three others, well, two others that were on top of him, further on down his body, two other policemen that were on top of him
Exactly.
further on down his body, and that Asian man that just stood there and did nothing. Those other three, I'm sorry if people don't agree, but I'm telling you now, there should be four people who should have been sacked from the police department, arrested and charged, and not just with third degree murder like Derek Chauvin has been. I'm sorry, as far as that, because correct me if I'm wrong, but is third degree murder, isn't that only, I say only, 25 years, right? The maximum sentence. So I'm sure they're going to find a way to get him off that, or plead it down to manslaughter or some BS, which I'm sorry, I really think is disgusting. They need to charge all four of them, and they should not, because I noticed with you guys over there, I don't understand how you do this. I've heard this again, Keros, please correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard that if you get sacked from one police department, right, you can go to another town or another city and get another job as in law enforcement again. How the hell does that happen? Because over here, if you get sacked, it's like a central computer. Your ass can't go
Yeah,
back onto another force.
that's a long show, but part of it is called police unions and who's running things. And so it's like if you get fired at a normal job, remember you get in the states, if you get fired or you leave the job can report or they can't bash you necessarily,
Right.
unless of course they arrested you and drag you off the premises. But unless you that happens, all they normally say is this person a re would you rehire them or would you not? That's all they
Right.
say here. Well, they don't even do that when it comes to law enforcement. If you get fired from agency A and you go to agency C, they don't go to agency A and ask them basically, would you
Why
rehire
did?
this guy or this woman? They just hire the other person. Well, I was in law enforcement. You must be a great guy. You were in law enforcement. No, sometimes these people, which I'm an advocate for a national database that says
Yeah.
this person has one ID number as a police officer or law
Mm.
enforcement officer. And that ID, just like a social security number, would follow them to any agency they go to. So we could see them
Yeah.
wreaking havoc everywhere they go.
That means you should not be getting no other job, no place else. And I think, and you know what I heard somebody say online, I saw this. They said that, which I didn't even really compute because I'm thinking if they got sacked, then they would have automatically lost those rights for, pension and all that. But somebody said that they think that not only, which I am all for, should all four of those police officers have been sacked. They said that they should their pension and whatever else that they were going to get if they'd have stayed in the job should actually go to the fact that the victims' families. And I thought, you know what, that is kind because that's kind of almost
That
like a
sounds good
reparation
to me.
type thing. I think they should do that.
That sounds good to me.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's to me. There was a person that I work with, and I do a podcast, and she does commentary on different international TV. Her name is Sergeant Dorsey. She has a term that she calls the gift of resignation. You get there and you get in trouble as a police officer, and then they allow you to resign instead of firing you, and then all those benefits you just talked about, they get to keep that. Okay. It's the gift of resignation because then they get to keep the pension and they get to keep the retirement money. They get to keep the vacation pay quote that they didn't take, the gift
Wow.
of resignation. And so
Well, they could have been in that job for the next 25 years and they're going to get all that money for sick, holiday pay. You
but
know
the
what?
unions is what I was going to tell you about. As we get close to the break time, the unions that are for police officers, that's part of what the problem is also. The police unions, just like I read, the police union is already getting attorneys for those people that you just mentioned. They're getting attorneys for the guy that was arrested. They're getting attorneys for the other three. And they're saying that they're going to basically, why did y'all fire them? They were doing their job. No, they killed somebody and they were part of the death of
Exactly.
the person. They weren't just doing their job. Sorry.
Well, this is the thing. So the protesting that we're seeing now again,
Mm.
because this is all too familiar, unfortunately, and this is not just in America. I have to say, I've saw this. We've got protests over here in the UK. This is going around the world now, and as far as I am concerned, this is hundreds of years of pent up anger, frustration, and emotion, and it is rearing its head yet again because people do not listen. Law enforcement have just carried on doing exactly what they wanted to do, and it's due because of the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and so many others. As I speak their names, I've got a shiver going down my spine because I'm thinking this keeps happening. And black people are finding that it's a never ending situation. It's like it's a nightmare that just never ends. And we're sitting there wondering, when will this end? When can we finally just be allowed, I say, quote unquote, to live? Because it's like we're being forced into this cycle of we're wanting to be heard. And we want to make this stop. We want to make the racism and the discrimination and the segregation, we want to make it stop. People like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, all these people that have suffered so greatly along the way in life because they chose to stand up and speak out against this and say, no, we're not going to let you keep doing that. We're not going to let you get away with that. And oh God, we just, we don't, we are trying to stop this so that we, as black people, we are human. We don't keep getting hurt physically, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically again and again and again. That's what we want to stop. Chaos, I know we're going to go to break soon, but there's something I want us to play before we go to break. And this is something that I think is really important for the listeners to see, because the rapper Killer Mike, he made an emotional speech about the protests, and I really wanted to play this on today's show. Can we play that?
Okay.
I didn't want to come, and I don't want to be here. I'm the son of an Atlanta City police officer. My cousin is an Atlanta City police officer, and my other cousin, East Point police officer. And I got a lot of love and respect for police officers, down to the original 8 police officers in Atlanta that even after becoming police had to dress in a YMCA because white officers didn't want to get dressed with niggas. Here we are 80 years later. I watched a white officer assassinate a black man, and I know that tore your heart out. And I know it's crippling. And I have nothing positive to say in this moment because I don't want to be here. But I'm responsible to be here because it wasn't just Dr. King and people dressed nicely who marched and protested to progress this city and so many other cities. It was people like my grandmother, people like my aunts and uncles who were members of SCLC and NAACP, and in particular, Reverend James Orange, Mrs. Alice Johnson, and Reverend Love, who we just lost last year. So I'm duty bound to be here to simply say that it is your duty not to burn your own house down for anger with an enemy. It is your duty to fortify your own house so that you may be a house of refuge in times of organization. And now is the time to plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. It is time to beat up prosecutors you don't like at the voting booth. It is time to hold mayoral offices accountable, chiefs and deputy chiefs. Atlanta is not perfect, but we're a lot better than we ever were, and we're a lot better than cities are. I'm mad as hell. I woke up wanting to see the world burn down yesterday. I'm tired of seeing black men die. He casually put his knee on a human being's neck for 9 minutes as he died like a zebra in the clutch of a lion's jaw. And we watch it like murder porn over and over again. So that's why children are burning to the ground. They don't know what else to do. And it is the responsibility of us to make this better right now. We don't want to see one officer charged. We want to see 4 officers prosecuted and sentenced. We don't want to see targets burning. We want to see the system that sets up for systemic racism burnt to the ground. And as I sit here in Georgia, Thomas Stevens, Georgia, former vice president of the Confederacy, white man said that fundamental law stated that whites were naturally the superior race, and the Confederacy was built on a cornerstone. It's called a cornerstone speech. Look it up. The cornerstone speech that blacks would always be subordinate. That officer believed that speech because he killed that man like an animal. In this city, officers have done horrendous things and they have been prosecuted. This city's cut different. In this city, you can find over 50 restaurants owned by black women. I didn't say minority, and I didn't say women of color. So after you burn down your own home, what do you have left but char and ash? CNN, Ted did a great thing. I love CNN, I love Cartoon Network, but I'd like to say to CNN right now, karma's a mother. Stop feeding fear and anger every day. Stop making people feel so fearful. Give them hope. I'm glad they only took down a sign and defaced a building and they're not killing human beings like that policeman did. I'm glad that they only destroyed some brick and mortar and they didn't rip a father from a son. They didn't rip a son from a mother like the policeman did. When a man yells for his mother in duress and pain and she's dead, he is essentially yelling, please, God, don't let it happen to me. And we watch that. So my question for us on the other side of this camera is after it burns, will we be left with charred or will we rise like a phoenix out of the ashes that Atlanta has always done? Will we use this as a moment to say that we will not do what other cities have done, and in fact, we will get better than we've been? We got good enough to destroy cash money. You don't have to worry about going to jail for some petty. We got smart enough to decriminalize marijuana. How smart are we going to be in the next 15 or 20 years to keep us ahead of this curve? So that much like when South Africa suffered apartheid, you had Andy and other politicians that could make sure that Atlanta said, Coca-Cola, we love you, but if you don't pull out of South Africa, we're going to leave. We're not going to drink Coca-Cola anymore. Coca-Cola jumped on their side and apartheid ended. So we have an opportunity now. Because I'm mad, I don't have any good advice. But what I can tell you is that if you sit in your homes tonight, instead of burning your home to the ground, you will have time to properly plot, plan, strategize, and organize and mobilize in an effective way. And two of the most effective ways is first taking your butt to the computer and making sure you fill out the census so that people know who you are and where you are. The next thing is making sure you exercise your political bully power and going to local elections and beating up the politicians that you don't like. You got a prosecutor sent your partner to jail and you know it was bullshit. Put a new prosecutor in there. Now's your election to do. You want a different senator that's more progressive that wants marijuana through. Now is the time to do that. But it is not time to burn down your own home. I love and I respect you. I hate I don't have more to say. I hate I can't fix it in a snap. I hate Atlanta's not perfect or as good as we are. But we have to be better than this moment. We have to be better than burning down our own homes. Because if we lose Atlanta, what else we got? We lose an ability to plot, to plan, to strategize, to organize, and to properly mobilize. I want you to go home. I want you to talk to 10 of your friends. I want you guys to come up with real solutions. I would like for the Atlanta City Police Department to bring back the Community Review Board, one that Alice Johnson was formerly under Chief Turner. We need a review board here because we need to get ahead of it before an officer does some stupid shit. We need to get ahead of it. That's my recommendation to my mayor and my chief. Let's get a review board. Let's get ahead of it and let's give them power. We don't need an officer that makes a mistake once, twice, three times, and finally he kills a boy on national TV, and the next thing you know, the country is burning down. We don't need a dumbass president repeating what segregation has said. You start looting, we start shooting. But the problem is some officers black and some people gonna shoot back. And that's not good for our community either. I love and respect you all. I hope that we find a way out of it because I don't have the answers, but I do know we must plot. We must plan, we must strategize, organize, and mobilize. Thank you for allowing me some time to speak.
Okay, we're going to come back.
Uh,
You ready?
yeah.
Okay, Mark.
Welcome back. Wow. I hope you guys have been listening to that video with Killer Mike speaking at a news conference. I'm just wondering how do people feel about that after seeing it, and what do you think about that, Kayla? I thought it was really powerful.
He he says a lot of things that I'll find controversial. He'll support people sometimes that I'm not necessarily behind. And I have my rationale is I'm looking for the end game. I'm looking for Supreme Court justices and things like that when we're trying to pick presidential candidates. But what he just said, that's a whole statement. That whole video is powerful. It's truthful. And he came from a family that had law enforcement in it. So you can't just say he's being emotional and he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's coming from a family of law enforcement. He's coming from a family of people that fought for civil rights. So he's a strong representation of what we need to listen to and uh, please, people that see this and as many people, like I said, that know me, take some time to go and check out some of the things he said about the Confederacy and
Yeah.
and the cornerstone of what that was. And just take some time, learn your history. You know,
He's right because in terms of what I heard, that's something I want to bring up. Trump, he has actually said on, well, world TV, because once you say it, it goes worldwide. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. That's, to me, is a threat. I'm sorry, as far as I'm concerned, that's a threat. That's him letting you know that he is ready, willing, and going to, not even able, going to mobilize heavily armed U.S. guards, U.S. soldiers to wherever they deem as a hotspot for looting and rioting and protesting, because he doesn't like it. He says that he is in favor of peaceful protest, but you see, what I really think is he doesn't like the fact that the attention has been taken off him because, first it was COVID-19, and that has absolutely killed the US economy. So he is, hopping mad like a little hobgoblin about that. And now this has happened. So in his mind, he's thinking, oh, all these things are just, because it's always about him. It's always me, 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 me with him. So he's just thinking, oh, all this stuff is messing up my chances of being re-elected. I don't want to be a one-term president. I want to be able to at least say I went toe to toe in the record alongside Obama, because I don't want to be the one who gets not re-elected again because it looks like I messed up the economy, or the economy tanked because of COVID-19. But who is going to get the blame for that? He says it's going to be him because he was in office when coronavirus happened. He did not believe that coronavirus, like was it Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil? He did not believe it. They all seem to think, oh, it's just a mild flu. Oh, this will be over in a couple of days. And then when it started hitting into the weeks, it was, oh, this will be over soon. Nothing to worry about. When masses of people started to die because of the COVID-19, he was still practically in denial. So it's like anything that's happening, he doesn't want to see the actual truth of what's happening. He doesn't want to hear, oh, the reason why people are so angry, why people are rioting, why people are angry and frustrated and screaming at the top of their lungs. Hear me when I say this has to stop. He doesn't want to hear any of that, because as far as he's concerned, well, he'll talk the talk to some degree, because he knows he's not, I mean, he's not completely stupid in that he knows he has to say something. But you'll probably get very few words of sense or empathy from him, and you'll definitely get a lot of bluff and bluster and the macho man and I'm in control, so whatever I say goes, and you will do what I want. And the reason why I get so frustrated sometimes with looking at Donald Trump and hearing him is because I know for a fact that he is one of those people who has done and said many racist things in the past. He truly believes the things he says. He really doesn't care about anybody else's feelings, and I include his wife in that. I'm just going to say that. But I really think that he needs to just be. I mean, I told you it was going to be a hot mess when you had him as president. Nobody listened, and now look at this. I mean, my God, this dude. The only thing I can really say that he has done, well, to some degree, was the stimulus cash check thing that he did. But even that, he messed that up because of COVID-19. He messed that up. So anything he does now going forward, we know that he is not going to do anything remotely even anywhere near satisfactorily to try and stop this racism and discrimination, and to make sure justice is served, because he keeps saying, oh yeah, justice needs to be served, but I think he's just paying lip service. I don't think he actually means to do anything. And I think I mean, the family of George Floyd, one of George's brothers said that, oh, he spoke to us, but he didn't let me speak. So, some person, I mean, I don't even know how true this could be, but someone said that they thought that Donald Trump talking to George Floyd's family member was a recording, because the brother said, "Oh, I couldn't get words in edgeways." Can
no,
you imagine if he really did
it was probably him because he's a recording. I mean,
that?
he's not a real person to me.
He's mad.
So it's sad that, but you mentioned something before, and I've shared that opinion. I don't think he has empathy, and I don't think you can if you're a narcissist. And so, again, I'm just speaking what I feel. I've had discussions with family members about this, and they may not necessarily have felt the same way that I do. But again, we though they play cards, you play with the cards you're dealt. You play
But
domino.
why do we seem to be dealt these cards again
Well,
and again?
but it's changing. I really feel comfortable with the fact that this is different this time.
You
And
think so?
younger people, it would be different to me if the younger people weren't out there. If all 90% of the press I saw was only people that look like me.
Right.
Then I would be worried that this is just another instance where we're not going to have anything done. But I'm seeing too many reports where people are starting to realize there has to be a dialogue.
Mm,
And we, as human beings, not just us as Black people, as Latino people, as Asian people, all people need to be discussing this so that we can get to a better place.
mm.
And they're looting Black businesses, women's businesses, as well as other businesses. So this isn't just okay, as some people thought in the beginning. Well, Black people aren't going to get COVID. That was the stupidest thing I had ever
Yeah.
in my life.
I got to tell you briefly, Carol. I remember this. I saw a couple of months ago. I was out shopping and I walked past some people talking on the street, and I happened to catch the tail end of a conversation, and my head just whipped up because the man, black guy, he was talking to a lady, and he said to her, this thing, this COVID thing is not doesn't affect black people. It's only European people that are going to get this. We're going to be fine. And I remember looking at him, and obviously I didn't know him, and I realized, oh my god, I wasn't really supposed to hear that conversation, so I need to carry on walking. But I couldn't believe it. I was looking at this dude like, are you serious? And it turns out that not only do we get it, obviously, because we're all human, but it seems that we in the black community, are more susceptible to getting this. Black
Man,
people, Asian people, and I was just like, this guy is. And imagine if he had been telling other people that, and they were believing him when he's saying, this, this is, as some people like to say, oh, this is just a white people's disease. Oh, it's not going to happen. Well, racism seems to be another virus, as we can call it, another disease that many are afflicted with, and that's not something that just white people are afflicted with either. So I really do think that sometimes, I mean, I know some people don't, they say stuff and you just have to look at them and be like, are you serious? Did you really just say that kind of thing? And other times you will be incredulous, because you just cannot believe that maybe that particular person, that guy, he hadn't experienced racism in his life, or they've never had it firsthand in any way, or but the things that some people come out with, sometimes you just have to be like, wow, you really believe that, and that's your story and you're sticking to it, kind of thing. Oh, okay. I mean, another thing I wanted to talk about, Keros, is another video that I found, and it was the senator for Arkansas, Senator Stephanie Flowers. She made a speech in 2009 about, or I think it might have been 2019 actually, and it really resonated with me when I found it online again, actually, because I saw it and I thought, my God, this, unfortunately, this is relevant now. And as we know, has been for hundreds of years. But, this is what happens to black boys and men. And I just wanted to say, like, as a black woman, if you have sons, brothers, husbands, boyfriends, uncles, cousins, you are terrified that, God forbid, one day you're going to get that phone call that tells you your loved one has been killed. No, actually, no, not killed, murdered. Okay. And this is what is in the minds of black women every day. And it's not just in the back of their mind, which would be bad enough, nor is it only at the forefront. This is just in their mind all the time. And I feel it becomes part of the psyche. It's another thing for us to, think about, worry about. Is my husband gonna go to work and actually come home tonight? Is my son gonna go to college, university work and come home, am I going to see this person again when they leave this house this morning? And it's like as if we don't have enough to deal with, okay? And then we got to be worrying about that. And I'm just thinking that's not something that other ethnicities have to worry about, because we're always worried about staying alive long enough to raise our children, long enough to try and live out our lives and fulfill any of our hopes and dreams, let alone being worrying about the fact that we have to try and see if our sons and all that are going to be, you know, doing that as well. And I just think, oh my God, really and truly, why is that we have to keep doing that? I don't understand. I saw that and I thought, I'm gonna say it. I make no apologies because I have to say that. You know, some people are not gonna like it, but it's the truth. And I want us to share. Can we share this video Kara has linked to, because she had an explosive response to a stand your ground bill.
Senator, you need to stop. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. What the hell are you gonna do? Shoot me? It doesn't take much to look on the local news every night and see how many black kids, black boys, black men are being killed with these stand your ground defenses that these people raise. Then they get off. So I take issue with that. I'm the only person here of color, okay? I am a mother, too. And I have a son. And I care as much for my son as y'all care for y'all's. But my son doesn't walk the same path as yours does. So this debate deserves more time. I'm in Pine Bluff. We have killings regularly down there. Mr. Hunter knows, he's our prosecutor. Now, I don't know where the heck, I know where you are from, Gary. And I don't know really where Mr. Ballinger is from. But I can tell you that for a long time since I've been back here in Arkansas, I have feared for my son's life. Now, he's 27, he's out of Arkansas. And I thank God he is. When you're bringing up crap like this, it offends me. And then to limit the debate too, this is crazy. You don't have to worry about your children, Will. I worry about my son. And I worry about other little black boys and girls. And people coming into my neighborhood, into my city, saying they got open carry rights, walking down in front of my doggone office in front of the courthouse. That's a bully. Do I have a right to stand my ground with some crazy ass person walking around with a doggone gun? I don't know what the hell he intends to do. But I know I am scared. I feel threatened. Just like some of y'all walking around here up in the legislature with these damn guns. That, what's his name, Garner came in here, walking around here with a damn gun under his coat. You can see the damn print. Senator, you need to stop. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. What the hell are you gonna do? Shoot me? Senator. Senator, what the hell? I'm telling you, this deserves more attention. You want to come up here with all these little NRA bills and bills that Alec have and all that stuff. I'm talking about my son's life. And I'm talking about the lives of other black kids. Do what the hell you want to do. Go ahead, but you can't silence me. You got your damn silence gun out the damn chamber today, but you are not going to silence me.
Yeah. I saw that and I was just like, wow. She really let him have it. See, that is an indication of just how sick of it we are. She just completely decided, no, I will not be silenced. You are not going to be able to tell me that I need to sit here and put up with this yet again. Hell no, it ain't happening. Not today. And what could he do? You could see he was mad.
Well,
He really wanted to get her.
and I agree with everything that she said, but that mentality that you saw in his face
Hmm.
is what we run into all the time. That's why we are where we are right now. If we start
Exactly.
addressing some of these things and let's stop talking about, quote, the violence that is there, that has happened. Let's talk about the violence that's happening to our sons and our daughters and other black people and other Latino people. Let's talk about that violence,
Mhm.
and don't try and silence us. Like you mentioned earlier, people are saying, "Why do y'all keep bringing up that? That was a long." No, this is now.
Yeah, exactly. Because it keeps happening. How many times is somebody going to be just, okay, well, you just need to forget about that now? I mean, it would be bad enough if it happened to them and it only happened once and they got told, you need to forget about that. They would be mad, right? So why are they upset with us? Because things have kept happening and keep happening to us, not just for months or even years, which is bad enough. This has been going on for centuries and it's still happening today. And like I said, protests are happening all over the world. So I don't understand why people get so, oh well, you just I hate when people try and tell me just you shouldn't, just don't worry about something or forget about that, or you need to move on now, and why do you keep bringing that up or whatever. I hate that. I hate when people try and tell me you should, this is how you should think, and you shouldn't have an opinion or feeling about XYZ. Don't tell me how to think, don't tell me how to feel. You are not going through or been through whatever I've been through, so you can keep that ridiculous statement to yourself, because I don't care what you think. And sometimes you can see I'm getting hit up here. Sometimes you realize, as Killer Mike said, you know, and I believe this, we definitely need to be smarter, and how about how we're going to respond going forward, Keros, because I mean, uh, Ice Cube has called and said, how many times are we going to keep putting up with this type of thing? He says, how long until we strike back after, George Floyd's death? Now that resonated with me. And if you see what he's shared online and some of the pictures and things that he's posted, you will understand. Obviously, another black man, he has been successful in his career, and he has a platform to speak. And when he speaks, especially on something like this, because he's just going to tell you straight from the hip, no messing about. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks and feels, which is what you want. You want someone to be honest. You don't want someone who's going to sit there and just be like, I ain't really got nothing to say because, I'm all right, Jack, and I don't have to worry about nothing else. And even though I may be a black person, I've managed not to go through that, or, whatever that might be the case. No, he decided, no, I'm going to speak out about it, and I need to say it, sort of thing. This is, as I know, our cries and demands for it to stop have, and unfortunately seem to have continued to fall on deaf ears, because racists are not interested in how we think or feel when they're doing what they're doing, because and they don't care how their behavior affects us as black people. So as Killer Mike said, we're going to have to be more strategic about things. I mean, what do we say? And I need to say this as well, as we've mentioned earlier, looting, is not, and I repeat this, not an answer, because what purpose does that serve you other than to get you in jail when you're caught and get arrested for stealing? So yeah, I've said this earlier as well. Some people are going to take the opportunity to steal because that's just who they are, and that's whatever. You can't reason with stupid. Okay, so if they're going to do that, they're going to do that. Whatever happens, whatever, wherever the chips may fall for those people, good luck to them. There's nothing you can really do about it. But there was something I wanted to mention, Keros, and it was, I don't know what you think about this. I wondered if, because I thought it would seem that one of the few ways that governments, for example, usually really pay attention to certain things is when their bottom line is threatened, and by that I mean when they start to see financial implications. Okay, so say for example, because apparently black people in America have over $1 trillion of spending power. Okay, so I'm just thinking, okay, imagine if black people all collectively just decided to not buy anything, whether that was for a day or a week or whatever. Now, the reason I think that's important is because imagine if we all agreed collectively, we decided, you know what, we're going to band together in this way, and the word has gone out, right, that for a period of time we're not going to buy anything. Okay, imagine if that word got out and went around the world, and we decided that the decision was, if you wanted to silently protest on a particular day and say you're not going to spend any money on any luxury item either, for example, that would be noticed. That would really be noticed, And I mean, because apparently we already have a reputation for spending money, for example, that we supposedly don't have. Okay. So I'm wondering if we as black people wanted to make our feelings felt without saying anything at all, the silence of not spending any of our money would be deafening. Don't you think so, Kayla?
Yeah, it's something where I believe, and I'll check on it, but I think they are going to. They're attempting to have, I think, something called a blackout. I think Ice Cube, not Ice Cube, but what's his name from Atlanta?
Rihanna and Beyonce have called for this, and I wanted to go on to that because apparently the music industry have called for a blackout
Well, they're doing
over.
it today. They're doing
Yeah,
a
that's
blackout
today.
for the day that we're filming. Everyone, we're filming on a different.
Yeah. June the second, people.
Yeah,
Today is the day of the blackout over the murder of George Floyd.
right,
But you
right.
think they're going to try and do another
Well,
type
they're
of
doing
thing like
a
this?
monetary one, and
Uh,
this is something that what is his name? The rapper from Atlanta. You know who I'm talking about. Uh,
Ti, is it?
yeah, yes, I saw him in an ad saying that I think it's actually, and I'm pretty sure my son's birthday is July 7th, and I believe that's
Okay.
the day that they're saying they want to basically say don't spend any money on that day,
Uh,
which I think it will make. We'll put that. You guys are looking at it now because I'm putting it on the screen, and but yeah, money talks.
Imagine it. Imagine if we all just said, you know what? You ain't getting a red cent. We
If
ain't
you could
spending
get,
nothing.
if you could get 10%,
Yeah.
10% of you said 4 billion. That's
Over a
400 billion.
trillion. Over a
Over a
trillion.
That's okay. 10% of a trillion is one.
Mm.
If we a billion didn't get spent in one day, do you know how basically dramatic that would be?
Yeah, I
Nobody's going to the chicken place to get chicken.
know.
Nobody's going to the store. Nobody's
Oh,
buying clothes.
oh.
Nobody's spending. I'm not going to listen to Spotify that day. Think about it. If you no money,
Nothing.
it,
Nada.
it would be noticed. Yes.
You think? Just a bit. Yes, good. Maybe we need to do that. Maybe we need to call for that.
Yeah, but
And really call for, and not just one day, people.
you got
Could
to
we
bring
do it
attention.
for a week?
Well, I mean, it's something where, to me, yeah, for a week would. You talk about economies being destroyed. But if basically to me it's like a lot of the corporations are paying attention,
Oh yeah.
and I'm going to talk to you, after the show, but we have got to do a show about the Karens of the world. Have you guys? Right, we have got to do a whole show and just roll through the many Karens of the world. Okay. Because I saw another one today, and you know that's another thing that's changing. A lot of these people, like the one that was, that had the dog and didn't want to put the dog on the leash, and what we're going to talk
Yes, I
about,
know.
but they're getting fired now
Good.
with the
Good. And I'm
quickness.
not normally calling nasty thing, but she deserved that. Serve her right.
But that's why we're going to do a whole show on the Karens.
And the Becky.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about, but that like to me, I'll say this as we'll get ready to wind up. But the thing that's changing the earth is something that was invented without this technology really being. They didn't never think this technology would cause the change that it has caused, and these things that we have right here.
Oh dear.
This is the reason why we can, not we, but I can honestly say I think this world is coming. We've come to a point of change. Because if
Mm.
that young lady, who I wanted to make sure that I mentioned, if
Yes,
she
I was
had
going to.
not filmed less than 10 minutes of the time on Earth,
Hmm.
all the things that we've been talking about, as far as I would say, most of this activity that we've seen over the last 1 week now, if
Yeah.
that young lady hadn't done that, she is one of the most heroic people on earth, as far as I'm concerned. If she had not filmed that, with him screaming at her to put her phone down, with him threatening her, all the things that we're seeing right now in protests, and a lot of this that should have happened probably would never have happened. And so
Yeah, and
these
I
cell
hope
phones,
that people, yeah, I hope people aren't being nasty to her because I've heard that people are being really nasty to her
they're
online
really,
and stuff.
really bad.
Yeah, I pray for her because you know what? Listen, as you just said, she did what she could do in that moment. She was trying to find a way to help, and she couldn't obviously go up and do anything because there's big burly officers. She's just a young girl, but she did something that everybody will be happy that she managed to get that because that's evidence, that's proof, that's irrefutable. No, he cannot deny it. And that guy, what's his name, Derek Chauvin. I'm sorry, he was smirking when he was kneeling on that man's neck. He was smirking. He was laughing. He heard everything that that man was saying and begging and pleading for his life, and he did nothing. He did not get off. He did not. And another thing I need to say this. Listen, nobody can't tell me that. Oh, it's because a lot of people like to come and say this, right? Especially those racist people. They love to say, "Oh, well, if you black people would just do as you were told and just do as you're told. Keep your hands up. Put your hands down." Don't whatever it is, you're just do as you're told. Well, excuse me, they say they were trying to subdue him, they were trying to handcuff him. Rubbish! Because he was already lying flat on the ground, he was already handcuffed, he had already been subdued, he had already been arrested. So Derek Chauvin knew exactly what he was doing when he was kneeling on his neck because he wanted to do that. There was no reason for him to be kneeling on his neck. Even if you had been trying to restrain him, to handcuff him, you could have still not had to kneel on his neck. And he wasn't fighting you, he wasn't doing anything. And then see this is what I mean. People don't realize. You think he was bad enough, but he had two other colleagues that were laying on that man further on down his body, and they're trying to say, oh no, they were trying to restrain him. The minute he had been handcuffed, you could have got off him completely. And that Asian man that stood there, their other colleague who stood there and did nothing, nothing. Apparently, I don't know how true this is, so I'm going to say apparently and allegedly, Derek Chavin's wife, that Asian officer is that's his sister.
No,
Apparently, that's what they're
that's,
saying.
that's debunked.
Is that not true? I don't know if that's true, but that's what they're saying. I,
But
I don't
she
know,
is
so I
getting,
want to say that.
but she is getting a divorce.
Well, yeah,
She's
yeah, I
out.
heard that.
She's
Yeah, I
out.
heard that.
Out of there. But
I heard that she's out.
the
She wants
attorney
out. And
said,
so you know what someone said? They said they think she's doing it to protect assets.
and that,
So
yeah,
if you get sued,
possible. But
then yeah, that's what
he
they said.
has some type of assets because he has a home in Florida that was vandalized. So he's got a little cash flow. And so that people will delve into that part of his life also. But the Asian officer who you're speaking of, and
Mm.
often
Is that not her
there
brother?
are good police officers all around the world. So please don't get into this. Well, you just don't like. I have police that are in my family. I have
Mm.
police that are friends. So don't give me all this other crap. Killer Mike, perfect example. Family
Yeah,
members, law enforcement.
yeah. We're
So
talking about the bad ones. We're talking about the racist ones.
and there are a lot, but you know I want to make sure I say this. We should be giving cover to those good police officers. Do the right thing.
Mm.
Go out there and expose those other officers that are doing wrong, or those other law enforcement people, county sheriffs, and all that. Expose them for the wrong that they are doing because we got y'all back. We will
Yeah.
support y'all. And these officers that are getting, there's two officers that got fired in Atlanta, two black officers, boom. They were brutal to those two college kids, got fired the next morning. I mean, we
I
talk both
saw
sides.
I saw a guy. There was a white officer that there was all these protesters around, and one lady was on her knees. She was already on the floor, and the officer pushed her more. And then there was another black officer, a female officer, that just went off on him, like say,
Oh
"You
yeah,
can't do
I
that."
saw that picture.
And yeah, I saw that on the news. I was like, you know what? I'm glad she did call him out for that because that was wrong. He didn't have to do that to that lady because she was already on the ground. She was already, being compliant.
Well, I really do hope, and I think that good officers, which is the majority of police, there are bad people. There are a lot of bad people, period, and therefore there have to be a lot of bad police officers if there are bad people on Earth. So there have to be some of the police officers that are bad people, and so I hope and I pray that those officers that are there because it's their job and they feel that it fulfills their life to help people. I'm behind y'all 100%. I'm with you. I am going to go to bat for you and fight for you. But you guys that don't need to be on the force, y'all need to go on the ship. And we can blast y'all off. Maybe y'all can provide security for those old people we're putting on the ship and blasting into space.
They're gonna need it because they're gonna be trying to get off. To get off. But the thing that I wanted to mention as well, because I did say this earlier, and I do say that Trump likes to say things, and I believe it, especially when it's something nasty. I believe that he is planning on doing that. When I said that he's gonna, deploy the U.S. Army and give them arms and all this, and tell them to go, and because what I heard that he said as well. Because he was saying that he was going to send the forces in because he's saying if certain cities don't have the guts to do the right thing to protect human life and property, he will do the job for them and send in the army. And I thought, what? And then he was saying, okay, the police. Well, I think he's going to do it under the guise of policing, because I think that he thinks that the police must not let the protesters make the US state governors look like fools, okay? And that he thinks that those governors must do more to keep law and order. But I think that's just another excuse, for him to say, okay, well, listen, if they get out of line, you can just kill them, because whoever gets caught in the crossfire, oh well, to him, he doesn't care because it's just collateral damage. And I'm just thinking, well, there's something that he said that I really want to mention. This is what Trump said. He said that the US governors and law enforcement need to take a more hardline approach. And what he said was, you have to dominate. If you don't dominate, you're going to be wasting your time. They're going to run over you. You're going to look like a bunch of jerks. Can you imagine how that sounds? If anybody said it, but the president to say it, someone who don't you think that's another way of him just inciting? He's inciting violence. And yet he's saying, "Oh, but I don't like the protesters to be violent. I don't like the protesters to have anything to say and be upset about the things that are happening." But he's all right to send in, heavily armed guards to antagonize protesters and shoot and do whatever's necessary to clear the streets, right?
Well, there were, which again, I try to keep myself calm when we're doing the show, especially because I get worked up also.
Yeah, you can see I'm getting worked up.
Yeah.
Sorry, people.
No, but I'm saying that there are law enforcement officials, people that are in government around the country are saying what you're saying. It's like you are not helping this situation. You are not helping this situation. Just
Yeah,
shut up. Don't say anything at all, and we really would be okay, or we'd be better. And
yeah.
so he he can't. People keep saying they wish he would do this and they wish he would do that. I don't. I stopped wishing that like 2 months after he became the president of the United States. Because I know
I told
this
you.
is him.
I told you.
We had a
I
whole
would.
show about that. I mean, this is who he is, and so no, I don't expect him to be any different. I listened to that little speech he gave yesterday, and at the end, he said because I'm getting ready to do show respect or something like that, and when I heard that. I knew what he was getting ready to do. I told my wife, I came in and said, he's getting ready because during his speech, they were, quote, clearing the area across the street from the White House. And when I
Tear gas,
saw
people.
that,
Tear gas.
religious leaders and regular people being peaceful, they basically went in there, routed him with horses and all this other stuff. When I heard him end his speech and say because he had something special he wanted to commemorate or he wanted to go do, I told my wife he's going to go across the street to that church. And not 5 minutes later, they start walking, and then he's holding a Bible upside down, and then and it's as I mentioned, it's only probably the second time, and I'm saying it, and this is my opinion, probably the second time he has touched the Bible in the last 3.5 years. The first time was when he got basically sworn in. And this is the second time he probably has touched the Bible in 4 years, and it was for a picture of him. And so,
Yeah, I was about to say that was a photo opportunity. Oh, absolutely a photo opportunity without that. And apparently, I heard on the news earlier today that he didn't even get permission. The person that runs that church is fuming because he didn't get permission for that. He just
right.
came over and did what he wanted, and
But
that person is very upset.
well, she saw it on TV. She's
Yeah,
sitting
that's the
home,
first time she knew.
and she knew the protest was going and all that, and she looks up on TV, and he's going there and doing a picture op. But that's who he is. I'm not. I don't look for him to be anything other than a petulant child as far as his attitude toward life. So I'm okay with the fact he can't be president forever. Let me make sure I say this. There, as you when you're not a president anymore, what are you? You're a normal citizen, and you
Mm,
can be taken to court. You can be treated like
yeah,
a normal citizen. He will not
good.
be president forever. And I will say
But
this:
the minute.
I'm pretty good for the rest of the show. The
Mm.
biggest day of protest in this country's history is not happening now. The biggest day in
Ah,
protest in this country will be election day of
ah,
the
yes.
will be the biggest day of protest because those people will basically the protest is your vote.
Yes.
That will be the biggest day of protest in the history of this country.
And it all it is a shake of the pen.
All
Cross
you got to
or
do is
not.
go and vote. You just that is the biggest day of protest. And please value property and don't hurt other people. And let's make it but let's make that the biggest day of protest in the history of this country.
Well, I'm just curious though, because you see when Killer Mike was talking earlier and he was saying, plan, plot, organize, strategize, mobilize. I'm thinking, okay, I need to say this because what do you think that we as black people can take from that message in terms of we got to be smarter. We are going to have to change and overhaul our way of doing things because there's a meme. I'm going to share it in my post. There's a meme that says they're not afraid of seeing us protesting and shouting and screaming and all that in the streets. What they are, racist people, that is, what they are afraid of is seeing us being, as black people, coming together, being a collective, being calm, and really doing things in a measured way. That's what I took to mean when he said that, plot, plan, strategize, organize,
Mhm.
mobilize. That's what I took it to mean. So, how do you think we can come together and do just that? And what form do you think it should take? Because obviously we're all over the world. What form do you think it should take for all of us in different factions? I don't want to use that terminology, but that's what it feels like. This is a war. So, what form of us in different factions? What do you think we can do? What do you think we can say to really get law and government's attention for them to know we are not playing with you no more? This has to stop.
Well, one of the things is what I just said. That's a plan. They can try and say we're not going to let you vote by mail, which is another thing we're running into here because you cheat if you vote by mail. Who is the biggest cheater on earth is saying that as his reasoning. But we plan. If they won't let us vote by mail, let's plan to vote early then. If they are going to basically have bad prosecutors and district attorneys, let's plan to get them out of office. If we want to have a country that doesn't have a lot of Supreme Court decisions that are wrong, we need to plan to get people elected to make sure that we can put people on the Supreme Court for years to come that will have a fair and unbiased opinion. And that's what it is. It's very simplistic. It sounds simplistic, but it's just
Mhm,
planning. I'm already planning things for my
mhm.
sons and their children and the other people around me. I'm planning things now for their lives as we go forward because now is the time to start planning on who to be elected. There are a lot of people, as I look at this camera, that are people that are Democratic people that you have been there too long and you need to turn over your reins to other people. I'm
So
just
you got to get them out.
I'm just saying, I said Democratic people. I didn't even say from the quote Republican or whatever.
Right.
I have this big issue, and then I'm done. I have a big issue. You notice I have gray hair and gray beard and all this. I have a big issue with somebody that has been sitting in Congress for 30 years, 20 years. They're 70 years old, almost 80, and their hair is darker than mine. Y'all
Yeah,
dye
that's
your
true.
hair. You're trying to make yourself look younger. Why don't y'all step aside and let a younger person get in there and do some things to make this world better? Just we need to get rid of a lot of the older leadership. A lot of these younger people, I don't want them tearing up stuff. But let's put some younger people into the mix, and I think that's going to help things also. But let's plan. He said exactly what he's doing. He didn't just come on there and have an emotional moment and he forgot about it. They're planning him, LeBron, some of the other people. I even heard Michael Jordan make a statement,
Wow.
and he never talks about anything. So
Wow.
there'll be change, but it's planning. a lot of these people that may see this video, a lot of people that, as we do more shows here this year,
Mm.
there's some change happening now.
Uh-oh, you know what that means, people.
Yeah, it's
Uh-oh.
changed. So I'm fine. I'm sad about a lot of stuff. I'm very observant about my surroundings. My son is he's going to be a senior in high school next year, and he is his and his friend for the first time. But all of them have been inside. They haven't been going out into the COVID space, and so
Yeah.
they're kind of hanging out today. But I have that in the back of my mind now. It's like, hey, you got to tell me exactly where you are. Because I want to see him this evening and the next day, and I want to see him graduate from high school and college, and the people that are looking at this, who are people who know me through business relationships and other things that are not of my skin tone. Think about your children.
Yeah.
And think about the fact that I have to have those thoughts about something as simple as my son going to enjoy himself for the afternoon. And y'all do not have that
Yeah.
as a thought process. His mother
Yeah.
has to think about that. And, we're very protective. And I'm sure a
Yeah,
lot of
but
people
rightly so.
there, and but a lot of people, white people, they're protective of their children also. But for the most part, you don't have to have the thought that I'm having right now when
Mm,
your son or your daughter leaves the house. So
mm,
have that talk with your children.
mm.
Tell them to
Yeah.
be more open. And if you can't have that talk with your children, you part of the problem.
Wow. But this is the thing. People. I've been seeing comments where people are saying, "Oh, Ice Cube is being racist," because remember what I said earlier, that he was asking how long until we strike back, and obviously we're discussing some of the things we could do. When I say strike back, there's more than one way to
Thank
to 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 do things. You don't just have to literally go out and get a gun, or be waiting in ambush for somebody, or
you.
it's
Yeah, we're
not literally going to be an eye for an eye.
not.
So these are the things we have to think about. We are talking about this now, and there's millions of people talking about this all over the world, and rightly so. It's something that needs to be talked about. So we have to think about it. We have to be strategic. We have to move forward. We can't forget. We literally can't forget, because we'll never be able to forget the things that have happened to us, and our ancestors, and the injustices. But then we have to think about moving forward, and trying to change things, and it's definite change, not just, oh well, when we get to this point maybe it might happen. So that's what I want us to take that away from this today, that I think that, as Killer Mike said, and doing that plot, plan, strategize, organize, mobilize. I think that's what we need to take from it in terms of the next step. So I say, people, we need to we need to stay alert. We need to keep our eyes open, because there's no turning back. And I hope you guys can see that, and you agree with that. So I want to take the time to say thank you for everybody for listening and joining in today here on the show. And a big thank you to K Rose. It's oof, time is running out. It's crazy. If you missed the show, don't worry. You'll be able to see the replays, and hear the replays on radio. And the show will be replayed again Saturday night, 9 p.m. UK GMT. And you can find me on Twitter at Ask Cavani Show. But come and find me on Instagram at UK Soul Queen Diva. It's been real. Thank you to K Rose.
Thank you, Ivani.
Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. This is the UK Soul Queen Diva signing off, signing out. I'll be back on the radio with you again very soon. Thank you. Bye.
And Mark. And we'll probably have a 2 hour show.
No.
It'll be close. It's not bad. That's not bad.
Oh, no,
But
no, oh, okay. I was thinking, I'm in trouble again.
no, no, no,
I've
no,
gone
no, no,
over.
no. You're not. You're not. I was just telling you how much time we have. We've been on an hour and 28 minutes. And so when I did
No.
the music, the
Oh,
actual
yeah.
it's going to be close to two, which is fine. And then when I do the other edit, but some of it I've already been sitting here thinking about pieces of the edit that I'm going to do,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and I'm going